There have been shocking allegations against Sean Combs, the mogul known as Puff Daddy P. Diddy, and we are going to dive into those allegations today and dissect what they can teach us about relationships and culture. This is the Strength of Seduction podcast, the #1 resource for Black couples who want to build intimacy, love, and connection in their relationship. I'm your host, Daniel DiPiazza. Welcome back to the Strength of Seduction podcast, the #1 resource for Black couples who want to build intimacy, love, and connection in their marriage. I'm your host, Daniel DiPiazza. And if you're new here and if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for updates. If you're listening to this on your favorite podcast platform like Apple or Spotify, please make sure to subscribe and leave a review. Everyone counts. Now, we do have an incredible show for you today, talking all about the chaos and the controversy surrounding P. Diddy. But before we dive in, we have a special offer for you. Strength of Seduction is offering we're offering free 30-minute coaching sessions, honestly, to any podcast listener who wants to build more health, wealth, and intimacy in the relationship. And on the call, we will take you through our relationship health assessment. This is a comprehensive tool that we created based on the responses from 17,000 beautiful Black couples who've been married for between 10 and 20 years. Actually, most have been married more than 20 years, which is so surprising to me. And we analyzed their strengths to understand what it was that made them so successful and happy over the long term, and where the biggest opportunities for growth can be in any relationship. And we put those into a comprehensive guide that has 20 questions you can answer to get a score for your relationship, thus the relationship health assessment. And this will give you an opportunity to uncover the strengths and the biggest opportunities for growth in your marriage. You can get a free 30-minute coaching session, a free 30-minute coaching session, absolutely free. And you just go to strengthofseduction.com/coaching. Okay. And the link will also be in the show notes for this episode, or on the blog post, or in the description of whatever you're watching this in. So it's strengthofseduction.com/coaching. Now, let's get to it. On our last episode, I talked about Will and Jada and the controversy that they're going through. And I didn't want to dive into this type of celebrity stuff again, two podcasts in a row, but I just think it's so relevant because one of the points I was talking about last episode was the idea that we don't want to idolize people that we don't know. And I think oftentimes, at least in the social media age, and depending on how much you use and engage with social media, maybe this isn't a big deal for you, but I think many people who often engage in social media see others, they see other people, and whether or not they're doing it consciously, subconsciously, there's idolization that's created. You see other couples and you say, these are couples' goals. These are the things we want to, this is how we want to look. This is how we want to act. This is how we want to be. And behind the scenes, all that glitters ain't gold. And so we're seeing that now with what's coming out about Puff Daddy and Cassie. So apparently this has been something that has been going on for many, many years now, and it's only now coming to the forefront. What we're seeing is that I'll pull up this New York Times article here. Let me see here. I was just listening to it, or I was just reading through it. So the New York Times article says, Sean Combs is accused by Cassie of rape and years of abuse in lawsuit. In the suit, the singer says, the singer says, Mr. Combs, known as Puff Daddy or Diddy, subjected her to a pattern of control and abuse over about a decade. Mr. Combs, quote, vehemently denied the allegations. So I'll just read a snippet from this. So Mr. Combs, 54, founded Bad Boy Records in 93 and became one of the primary figures in the commercialization of hip hop. Let's see. So according to Miss Ventura's suit, Miss Ventura is Cassie, his longtime girlfriend. She was swept into Mr. Combs' jet-set lifestyle not long after meeting him and signing with Bad Boy Records, which released her debut album in 2006. But the suit says he soon began to assert an extraordinary level of command over her life. In addition to controlling her career, he paid for her car, apartments, and clothing, and even had access to her personal medical records. According to the suit, the results from an MRI scan she had for memory loss, possibly caused by drug use or a beating she said she suffered from Mr. Combs, went directly to Mr. Combs. Mr. Combs also provided Miss Ventura with, quote, copious amounts of drugs, including ecstasy and ketamine, and urged her to take them, the suit says, and often became violent, beating her, quote, multiple times each year. The suit says Miss Ventura never went to the police because she feared it, quote, would merely give Mr. Combs another excuse to hurt her. In addition to one incident in Los Angeles in 2009, the suit says Mr. Combs became enraged when he saw Miss Ventura talking to another talent agent, then pushed her into a car and kicked her repeatedly in the face, making her bleed. According to the suit, Mr. Combs then had staff bring her to a hotel room to recuperate for a week. She asked to go home to her parents, but Mr. Combs refused, the suit says. The suit says after seeing the violent repercussions of rejecting Mr. Combs and the extent to which he would isolate her from her support network, Miss Ventura felt that, quote, saying no Combs, quote, said Miss Ventura felt that saying no to Mr. Combs would cost her something, her family, her friends, her career, or even her life. And though she tried to leave Mr. Combs, the suit said that he sent employees to lure her back. In one incident described in the court papers, Miss Ventura says that in early 2012, Mr. Combs grew so angry about her dating rapper Kid Cudi that he said he would blow the rapper's car up. Quote, around that time, the suit says, quote, Kid Cudi's car exploded in his driveway. The spokeswoman, Kid Cudi, confirmed Miss Ventura's account that he had that his car had in fact exploded. True, quote, this is all true, he said. So, yeah, I mean, this goes on. A few years into Miss Ventura's relationship with Mr. Combs, the suit says he began coercing her to, quote, engage in a fantasy of his quote, voyeurism in which she was directed to have sex with a succession of male prostitutes while Mr. Combs watched, masturbated, and took pictures and shot video. According to the suit, Mr. Combs called these encounters, quote, freak-offs, which involved costumes like masquerade masks and lingerie. They continued for years, taking place at high-end hotels across the United States and in Mr. Combs' homes. The suit says that he instructed Miss Ventura to search the websites of escort services to procure male sex workers. So, you know, I can just continue reading this. This story gets crazier and deeper. So, first of all, did you ever suspect that this is what was happening behind the scenes in the relationship of someone like Puff Daddy? You know, I don't know. I guess up until recently, up until maybe the past 10 or 15 years, I was pretty oblivious to some of the things going on in celebrity culture. But now, you know, with just more access to information and reporting and all the things you hear that end up being true, it is sometimes surprising to learn that the people who you know, at least outwardly thought were good have a lot to hide. And I hope that they are able to bring him to justice if this is the case. But this is the question I want to raise for today. The question is, again, how often do we place the relationships and the material possessions and the status of others on a pedestal, at least subconsciously placing them above us, placing their relationship as better than ours, placing their life or their lifestyle, their family as better than ours. And we learn with a closer examination that they have the warts just as much as we do, if not a lot more in some cases. And so I think the message really of the show is to love the one that you have, love the relationship that you're in, appreciate who you're with, appreciate a healthy, strong, loving marriage, even one that has difficulties and challenges, because, you know, you can look at these couples who we're supposed to idolize, who culture tells us to idolize, and we can see that they're not having a good time. You know, Cassie certainly isn't having a good time. And someone like Sean Combs obviously isn't enjoying. He's being abusive, but it doesn't mean he's enjoying his life, because people who are truly happy don't do that type of stuff. You know, that's what a sick person would do. So someone who needs help would do. And so, yeah, so be grateful for what you have, you know, and allow it to point out that there's a lot to be thankful for, especially as we're going into the holidays here. And, you know, just remember that, like, no matter where you are on the spectrum in your relationship, whether you're a new couple or you've been together for decades, whether you're going through like a really good period right now, you're going through a rough patch, there's no success without struggle. And you know, I think there's a great quote. It goes something to the effect of, and I'm paraphrasing, but you'll either make time for your health or you'll make time for your sickness. It's like you have to make time to stay healthy, or you'll make time to take care of yourself when you're sick. And I think the same goes for our relationships. You know, it sometimes seems like a lot of effort to maintain a healthy relationship and to do all the things it takes to bring peace and to, work through the challenges which are inevitably going to be there. But my challenge to you would be to ask you, what is more difficult? Having the conversations before they become problems, or waiting until they've blown up? Dealing with the health issues before they become diseases, or waiting until they're unmanageable? Dealing with the financial stuff before it becomes a big issue, or waiting until it's exploded? And I think you'll find that it's always easier to deal with things before they become problems. And so it's the same thing in your relationship. Tending to the health of it first, because if you don't, you'll tend to it in sickness. And sickness in relationship looks like fighting and disconnection, and just things that go unsaid, just stagnancy. Because the relationship really is like a living, breathing organism. So you have to take care of it just like that, just like it were a plant. So, love the one that you have. I think that's a J. Cole song as well. Love yours. And remember that the things we see on TV aren't the things that we're shooting for. We're shooting for our version of, not perfect, but healthy and loving and fun. Relationships should be fun, in addition to other things, fun. And if you're not having fun, it doesn't mean that you're always having fun, but in general, if you're not really enjoying being in the relationship, then either make a change or get out. And if you are obviously being abused, then get help. And of course, easier said than done sometimes. And you can see that just from reading the article here from the New York Times, which I encourage you to read. It's pretty interesting. I'm not even one to really get into the celebrity gossip stuff, but just a couple in a row this week, had to leave a comment. So I think that's all. I'm looking through the article. I don't think there's anything else that's really relevant sharing, but that's it for the Strength of Seduction podcast today. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to like and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to us on, and leave a review on Apple or Spotify. So until next time, my friends, love fiercely, communicate openly, and always find your way back to each other. This is Daniel.